last time we started looking at the fact that shame has this amazing priority of wanting to stay hidden and wanting to somehow present a persona that makes them look better. And it does two things to try and accomplish that. So last time we looked at the fact that it takes all of the maladaptations it had to use to survive, which is comprised of both positive and negative components, healthy and unhealthy pieces, but it just spins it to be a very healthy thing. This is the way I am. It's great, and it makes me better than you. The second thing that shame does is it compares itself with others. So it finds traits in itself that it can put in a positive light, and it looks at similar categories in another person that it can compare to and end up feeling superior to that person. So psychologists call this trait moralization or identity-based superiority. So it takes a neutral difference between two people and it basically sets up a hierarchy. So if you have this trait, it's not that they're neutral. So you got brown hair or red hair or black hair or blonde. I am now going to make a hierarchy so that blonde is the best and so on, and red hair's at the bottom. So if I have blonde hair and red hair, then I look down on you. I feel superior to you. So it creates this hierarchy out of all traits. So let me just give you some examples. When I was growing up in Canada, there are basically, when I was young, 3 car brands. There was General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler. And I look back and I laugh, sadly, because people with General Motors cars would look down on people with Ford cars. People with Ford cars would look down on people with Chrysler cars. It was, why are we making this a matter of inferior, superior? But that's what they did. And then when I worked on farms, people with John Deere tractors would look down on people with Case IH tractors. And it was like, who created this hierarchy? What's it based on? And it's shame needs some way to feel superior. And it will create ways, even though they don't really make sense if you break them down, but it will try to create a rationale as to why a John Deere tractor is better than a Case IH, etc. And then I found, going into the world of addiction treatment, that it was the same thing was happening. So you get people that smoked marijuana and they would go, at least I don't use crack cocaine. So that makes me better. Even though I'm addicted, it makes me better than a crack addict. Then people who smoke crack cocaine said, well, at least I don't use crystal meth. So that makes me better than crystal meth users. And people that smoke crystal meth said, well, at least I don't use it intravenously. So that makes me better than IV users. So there was a hierarchy even in the drug world. And then going in the religious world, which I was raised in, I found the same thing was happening here. It was shame creating a hierarchy. So Baptists would say, well, at least we're not Pentecostals. They're so emotional. Pentecostals saying, at least we're not Baptists. They're so stuffy. And every single denomination, there was this hierarchy that was happening where they were looking down on people who didn't believe exactly like them. So this is shame's thing. So let me just take you through a few other things that shame does. So if you look at basic personality traits, shame will find a way to create a hierarchy. So you have introversion, extroversion. These are neutral. Some people get their batteries charged by being alone. Other people get their batteries charged by being with people. Not wrong, right, different. Different ways of getting your batteries charged. But I know people that grew up in homes where if you're an extrovert, you're the ones that has friends. You're the ones that everybody wants to hang out with. You're the ones that is popular. Introverts, well, they're inferior. They're boring. They're no fun. So introverts are inferior to extroverts. So they would hear things like, introverts are boring. Nobody wants to hang out with an introvert. Extroverts have all the fun. Introverts are antisocial. Introverts, they're rude almost. And if you look at big people, popular people, leaders, most of those are extroverts. So that means extroverts are where the power belongs. That must be healthiest people. All kinds of twisting and distorting of things to try to make extroverts superior to introverts. And then if you look at the way people are wired, some are just more logical than others. Some are more emotional based. Some are more expressive emotionally. Others love to just think stuff through. So what happens? Logical people look down on emotional people. Emotional people look down on logical people. Logical people say, oh, they're just so weepy, weak. They can't think their way through anything. They just cry so much, they look down on them. Emotional people go, yeah, they're just so cold. They don't feel. They're awful. And you got this hierarchy based on, well, they're just different. Not one better than the other. Both complement each other. Both can be wonderful things to help make society even better. But shame needs to create a hierarchy. And then you look at just some people are extremely sensitive. Others, there's not as much sensitivity. They're just tougher. So what does shame do? Well, let's create a hierarchy between sensitivity and toughness. So tough people look down on sensitive people. They're just blithering idiots that just need all this attention, needy. They just need thicker skin. And I'm tough. I can get stuff done. I don't care what people think. I just care about what is right. And they just try to elevate all of their toughness. But then you get sensitive people go, yeah, but they're so uncaring. They're so narcissistic. They're so cold. I look down on those people. The same thing is happening, just different. Not one better than the other. Then within personalities, you get some that are just very structured and organized, even to being quite detail focused. And others are just more spontaneous. They just go with the flow. They're not big into planning. They just like to take things as it comes. Well, what happens then? They create a hierarchy. So the very organized people look down on these very disorganized people. The very spontaneous people look down on these boring people that just like to structure life to death. And they both look down on each other. But they're just different. They both benefit from each other if they would work together. And then you get some people that are just more of a driven, they like to work. They like to be productive. There's something in them that enjoys that. Just resting, sitting, doing nothing is not fulfilling for them. Whereas other people, lots of time to rest and be creative and be quiet is wonderful for them. And so now what do? They look down on each other. So the hard workers, oh yeah, those people are lazy. Those people, they're not as responsible as I am. I'm better than them. Whereas the people that enjoy rest and quiet those people never stop and smell the roses. Those people miss out on so much beauty in life, and they look down on each other. It's very common. And then you'll get people that naturally gravitate in sharing to different depths. So some just love lots of fun and stories, lots of superficial details. Others like going to deep personal sharing. Both are good. Both are necessary in relationships, but that's the comfort zone of those two people. And now they look down on each other. So the deep sharers, they're so airheaded, superficial. They never talk deep. And then the superficial person, they just look down on the other. They don't even know how to have a conversation. They just try to pull everybody down to talk deep. It's very self-serving, quite selfish. And they look down on each other. Just different. And then you get people that they're determined to be authentic no matter what. They're never going to wear a mask. But then you get others who, they're authentic, but they've learned to kind of adjust and adapt a little bit depending on the situation. So if they're with children, They're still authentic, but now they'll play house, they'll play tea party with the kids, they'll wear little costumes. But when they're with another group, they're not going to be wearing costumes and playing silly games. It's more serious. So they're authentic, they're just adapting to the audience. But now they look down on each other. And the one that's just, I'm true all the time. I don't care what people think. I have to be honest. I have to be authentic. I can't stand anything that feels fake. And they're so black and white that they look down on people that adapt. And they just assume all of it is fawning. And that is a problem. And that's, again, shame looking to feel superior to others who are different than they are. And then you'll get within personalities, some that the cup's half full, others it's more half empty. That's how they perceive things. Some just tend to have more of an optimistic way about them. Others are just more of a negative, pessimistic. And so what do they go? Well, the negative pessimist, I'm just a realist. I just see things accurately. I'm not just putting positive spins on everything. I am determined to always be honest, accurately, and that's usually negative. And so they look down on positive people. Oh, they're just constantly lying to themselves. They're just constantly avoiding looking honestly at situations. And then the positive people look down on the Debbie Downers. They're always negative. They just suck the life out of fun and parties and a positive life. Two different ways of looking at things that are there. And then it even goes so far for some people, the shame, that when they come in, let's say, to trauma therapy, and they've gone through tons of trauma in their life, but they haven't really dealt with it. Now they want to take that and make it a positive part of their identity that makes them better than other people. So I've suffered through hell, so I'm stronger than most. And so unless you've suffered as much as I have, I look down on you because you're not as strong as me. You don't know what I've gone through. You wouldn't get it because you haven't experienced it. I had to grow up fast. I didn't get the luxury of a fun childhood. So the fact that you had that fun childhood, I kind of look down on you because you didn't have to grow up as much as I did. So now I'm looking at life experiences and somehow turning that into that makes me better than you. So I hope you see that all of this is, again, just shame comparing itself with others, trying to find a way to feel better than other people, and basically making up stuff to do that. It's trying to protect this very fragile identity, ego, self-worth, insecurity from being challenged, from letting everybody be different. And that's okay. I need everybody to either be like me, and if they're not, everything else is a threat because it might make me look inferior. So I will find a way to make it look like they're inferior. That is what shame is doing. And so a question that you can ask yourself, let's say you're an extrovert. Okay, so if this didn't make me superior, what would I feel? Oh, well, I'm an extrovert, but that now makes me vulnerable. That now makes me just an ordinary person that needs other people. Ooh, that's a little bit scary. So what you realize is part of what shame is doing is saying, I'm an extrovert, I'm better than everybody, means I'm not as vulnerable as others. I'm not as ordinary as others. I need to somehow feel less human than others is part of what is going on. And so I hope that what you're able to do is go, we're all different. Differences are the spice of life. It's not that they make us better, superior, or inferior. We're just different. And I need to learn to appreciate that extroversion and introversion both bring wonderful strengths. I need to appreciate those strengths. And if I'm an introvert, I need to welcome that and accept that and be okay with that and know that I can bring to a relationship things that an extrovert could never bring. We complement each other. And then logic and emotion, both are necessary. Just because I'm wired a little bit more one way than the other doesn't mean I'm better. It means I'm a little different. Everybody's got a blend of logic and emotion that makes them unique. So I need to accept that. I need to appreciate that. I need to see the benefits of logic and of emotion and learn to welcome both as important. And the same with all of the other traits. So shame is this subtle, sneaky little thing that is constantly trying to create a persona that makes me feel good about myself. But it does so by putting others down, by being dishonest about the fact. It's running from its own fear. It's running from its own belief system that is actually based on lies. So none of these solutions actually work. They actually feed shame and make it worse. And so the solution is to really begin working on understanding your shame, understanding the lies that you believe about your identity, and begin to heal at that deep level. So until next time, all the best as you continue working on healing shame. Thank you.